So again, welcome to Chapter and Verse, everyone. Sponsored by the Jamaica Pond Poets. We're really happy to have you all here. During normal times, non-COVID times, we meet at the Laurie Greeno House in Jamaica Plain. I've actually got my virtual background photo of the Laurie Greeno living room there where we meet. The Jamaica Pond Poets also buy a book from each of our readers. Our reading series includes both poetry and prose. We buy books from the readers for the Jamaica Plain branch of the library, and they put it in their local writers section. So that'll be available again. Has the JP branch reopened yet? Yeah, okay, I guess a while ago. So we do have 3 readers tonight. We have Peter Schmidt, Dick Lourie, and Indran Amirthanayagam. And we are very happy to have all 3. I think, let's see. Peter, are you ready to go first, or do you need a minute? I can't see him. You can go. Okay, you need to unmute yourself again. Star 6. Shoot, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. So, but we're getting that echoing thing again. Okay. So you know what? Let's. If you can mute yourself again, Peter, or I'll mute you. We'll see if we can figure this out while Dick is reading. We're going to start with Dick Lourie. Let me pull up his bio. Sorry. Okay. Dick Lourie's poems have been published widely for 50 years. A musician as well as a poet, he's performed professionally for half a century on sax, trumpet, and guitar, playing blues, jazz, and traditional American songs. His new collection, Jam Session and Other Poems, is built around his determination to fuse his poems and his music into one creative work. A veteran of small press publishing, he is a co-founder and still co-editor of Hanging Loose Press and Hanging Loose Magazine, now celebrating 55 years of continuous publication. He is a 40-year resident of the Boston area in Somerville and Chelsea. Jam Sessions and Other Poems can be ordered from small press distribution. And Sandy, will you put the link in the chat for us? All right, great. Please welcome Dick Lourie.
Hi. You can hear me okay? That's what the book looks like. Yes, sounding okay? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
No, okay. I'm going to read poems from the book. Let's see. And first one is a poem that I wrote, as you will see, a number of years ago from the title, and with the hopes that it would become obsolete, but it hasn't. Yeah, I wrote it in 1981. It's called February 1981, The Systematic Murder of Black Children. This is not a political poem. Giving out your views, as they say, in that sense of democratic debate, kicking it around in discussion and argument, would be, in this case, a distraction. So I went with a title that's plain fact you could quickly verify. Just discovered in Atlanta the body of the 17th black child murdered within the past year. Such a fact laid out so simply, hard to forget, might stick in your head a while. So you would be reminded, maybe, whenever you see a black child, that they are miraculous. What do I mean? We need to behave, of course, with love and respect toward all children. But as for black children, you have to remember that someone is out to kill them. Why? Because they are black children. And so let them command your loyalty, your most clear and fierce attention. They are rare. They are in peril. Fewer of them will survive. Those who do are Yes, miracles. You must treat them like the bearers of your only hope for an end to the murders of black children. And a lot of the poems in the book are about music. And this one, the title is, and it sort of flows from this song, an old song, and it's called My Old Flame. Got to be old enough to remember the song. My Old Flame. Metaphor escapes me sometimes, or else it's the metaphor's fault. Thinking of my old flame and how one of them turned up, let's be honest, the most persistent one. Last night in a dream, innocuous though, she did appear young again, as if it was 40 years ago. But as Tina Turner said, what's flame got to do with it? Is it that a flame will just quick wink out? That wonderful word extinguished? Or keep blazing? Or lurk under the coals where there is smoke, etc.? Or just give off hot sparks while you are kicking at its ashes and, to be completely certain, pissing on it? Quote, the creation of a website devoted to reuniting old flames, the creators of this website insisted yesterday that it was not set up to wreck marriages. In my case, not a chance of that. In love, as I have been for nearly these same 40 years, slow and warming, nothing like those metaphors, not always fire, except for certain nights. And even then, we are miraculously unconsumed, two souls in some ancient text who cling to each other forever. But I'm well aware of the danger for poets in denying their dreams. Instead, we must look straight at them and then just do the twist. Ponder our metaphors, as noted, or jump to some tricky association disguising itself as free. In truth, the poet's mind works pretty much the same way. Foxy old critic Professor R.P. Blackmer described to us undergraduates, calling the dictionary a palace of saltatory heuristics. He delighted in awing and surprising us. A palace of saltatory, but I digress. Joke. She was in a blue shirt and the maroon corduroy jeans she seemed to wear all the time. We didn't speak. I looked at her the quickest of glances. That's it. One short scene, then we move on, or faint, or leap, as RP would say. My Old Flame. Mae West with Duke Ellington. Billie Holiday, most famously, but Carmen McRae as well, the Platters, Chet Baker, Linda Ronstadt, others. The lyrics touch down someplace we can get to about love. My old flame. Her name, Tony Bennett sings. Pronoun changed, but strong as this song is, makes no difference. And now it occurs to me that maybe that's what we wish for. To forget the name should be easy. He sings that new lovers have a fascinating gaze. Some send him up to the skies. Fine so far, but then if their attempts at love, unfortunately, are only imitations of my old flame, do we then wish we could think of that name? In my case, yes, I remember it, as I would bet most of you do, most of us. In fact, I could tell you if you asked not only her street address, but her car's license plate. Here it is. No, I guess I forgot that. And maybe young lyricist Sam Coslow was writing poet-like about his own life in 1934. Or maybe like many songwriters, he was a slave to rhyme. The new lover's also tame, and he'll never be the same until he discovers what became of my old flame. The trick is to remember that first, you don't want to be the same again. And second, you already know what became of your old flame, which doesn't seem to have affected you at all. And finally, I think in my dream, each of us was a flame. She's past, I'm present. Surprised to be there, we see each other. A glance, what's that between us? Ah, yes, it's Edna Millay's candle, famously burning at both ends, as the poet puts it. The point being not the vanishing, the transitory nature of the candle, but the loveliness of the double-edged light. While for me, flame in the present, gazing briefly back, oh sure, I get the aesthetics of it, but what I am celebrating is that this will not last the night. And this is called Prologue. I am in a race with a boy about 10 years old. Oh, of course, it's me. Not so surprising after all, in a dream. We're running down James Street toward Central Avenue, his house, so it must be he's hurrying home to the mother he loves, who won't die till he is over 70. Though how could he know that? But why am I running? I do know that she's dead, that Abby and I have sold the house, no one there now but strangers, that I live in Massachusetts, no need to visit Jersey anymore, let alone trying to outrun a 7-year-old. Is it that the first one there gets to have a mother? And if it's a tie, how do we share her? Better I should just relax and let him win. At his age, certainly he needs a mother, while I am over 70, and mine is dead and buried now 4 years, under the only stone in the whole vast green Jewish cemetery etched with lines from the prologue to the Canterbury Tales that she learned in college and loved to recite, and that she never forgot she would perform for us even when her mind had lost so much else. The whole first part in Middle English, that journeys that start in spring. There was room for 3 lines, which were enough. Juan that April with the shore sota, the drocht of March hath persed in the rota, van longen folk to gone on pilgrimages. Strange what stays and what goes, not to mention what comes up in dreams. Maybe what I meant to do was overtake the boy just so I could recite those lines for him in the voice of my mother. He'd recognize that voice, even coming from a man over 70. He would not understand the words. Not now, though. In time, he will. And this is part of a series that I do occasionally called Letters to the Dead. And this one is letters to Clarence Clemens, saxophone player with Bruce Springsteen, who was an inspiration. Clarence was an inspiration to me when I started playing. And so this is Letters to the Dead, Clarence Clemens. And think about, and it'll be mentioned in the poem, the cover photograph on Born to Run with Springsteen and Clarence Clemens. You'll see. When you're gone, the aging biker tells me, weaving just a little in front of the stage where I am playing the sax with my blues band, 4 bandmates less than half my age. The whole night at this biker bar, he's been observing how we interact on stage. When you're gone, he says, after an hour of shouting, listen to him, at the others. He shouts, listen to him, at the others. And then, when you're gone, he says. And he says, watch him, he'll show you what to do. Now he turns to me. When you're gone, he says, these kids will still be playing the fucking blues. 2. And I think, well, yes, and because this is just a few days after your death, Clarence, there's an echo for me. With you gone, I'm still trying to play the sax the way you played the sax. I'm still searching for the roots as I was 25 years ago, a middle-aged saxophone beginner, that rhythm and blues siren song in my ear. That's when I first heard you with Springsteen, heard you demonstrate how music could float, rip, sail, sting, pierce, all at the same time, almost like instructions issuing from your horn about those roots. Like, remember that the sax is a rhythm instrument, and never forget where these white guys got their rock and roll and what it cost. I will remind you. And you always did. Your, quote, imposing figure, as John Pareles' Times tribute put it in the obituary, your imposing figure, quote, declaring that the E Street Band was sharing rock and roll's black heritage, not plundering it. And that's what inspired me. But when I mentioned your name to a jazz sax man, he told me of recording in the studio with you, said that you could not read all the notes. Too complicated for you. He said, I knew enough not to say what I was thinking. Complicated is not the point. The growl is the point. The wail, the sax grounding or lifting the band, tearing up the music or mending it with the gold thread of your sound, soul of the music alive in the bell of your horn. Days later, I'm looking at the famous cover of Born to Run. The two of you, the big man playing the sax as the boss leans on your shoulder, listening, watching. It's clear that he is totally focused on you. But you, what are you seeing? Staring, it seems, over the viewer's shoulder. At what? Maybe at those old honkers and screamers, pioneers of our instrument, who dragged it with them out of jazz into a simpler urban landscape where they met that hard old country blues, loved it, married it, and jumped it up. And I wonder what else I might learn if I had more pictures of you, Clarence, to look at while I listen and remember. Paintings I could study with the mind's eye, a long gallery where I would see you in tributes done by the masters. Rembrandt's portrait would have you emerging from that Rembrandt black background, looking straight at me, tenor in your hands, glinting gold against the dark. In my imaginary Renoir, the dancers at the Moulin de la Galette are clasping each other, listening to you. Right there, you are next to the accordion player, eyes just visible under one of those hats, which seems to fit right in here. Paris, microphone yet to be invented, but who needs it? Next, in this gallery, you're painted by Chagall, drifting over the rooftops, your dreads floating in the breeze like payas, sax in your mouth, a question mark aimed at God. And at last I pause in front of this Bosch painting in which you are harrowing hell, trampling demons, rescuing souls while I listen to you play. In this final image, Clarence, you stride on as terrified monsters flee before the scourge of angels with wings of brass leaping from your horn. He was a great horn player. And I just have one more here that I'm going to do, and that's. This is called, I'm a little out of breath. Indran, would you hand me that glass of water? Okay, never mind. I also wanted to, I'm home as you see, and I wanted to apologize for the lighting in here. It makes my hair look really gray. But never mind, I'll go on. So the last poem is Object Permanence. When we go somewhere, together, I like to be first out the door. I'll wait in the car. My wife closes up so I won't fret about checking the stove and all the locks. If one of us goes and the other stays, I like being the traveler, as in that old song, you'd be so nice to come home to. And so she is each time, nice by the fire, under stars chilled by the winter, all that I could desire, August moon burning above, so nice paradise. While if it's me at home, her out, I'm thinking instead, supermarket, mass murder, kidnapping, car crash, the wreck on the highway. I went to the scene of destruction, but I didn't hear nobody pray. I guess this means I am still stuck at that earlier stage in the life of infants. They will get upset when you leave the room because for them you have ceased to exist. They don't yet grasp that there is any world outside themselves. Later they develop object permanence. Object permanence. Could there be a better name for a rock and roll band? They know that all existence does not depend on their presence. This is, of course, a comfort. They've realized that you will be back. While for me, at home, there's nothing except her absence. But with luck, we will get old together, and maybe by then, maybe her face, her body, so familiar, I won't lose sight of her in my mind, even when one of us walks out into the dark. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dick. That was great. I think, Indran, I'm going to ask you to read next, and then we'll see if we can get Peter online after that. So, Indran Amirthanayagam writes in 5 languages. He has published 21 poetry books, including the just-released Blue Window, translated by Jennifer Rathbun of Dialogos Books, that was under Dialogos Books. 10,000 Steps Against the Tyrant from Broadstone Media, 2022. The Migrant States from Hanging Loose Press. Coconuts on Mars, The Elephants of Reckoning, winner of the 1994 Patterson Poetry Prize. Uncivil War, and the Splintered Face Tsunami Poems. He edits the Beltway Poetry Quarterly and co-directs Poets and Writers Studio International. He has received fellowships from the Foundation for the Contemporary Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts, the U.S.-Mexico Fund for Culture, and the MacDowell Colony. Poet Non Pola, Poets of the Port, and Isleño will be published, my notes say late 2021 to early 2022. Has that come out yet, Indran?
Yeah, it came out. Yeah, Isleño. Yeah,
Excellent.
I have it somewhere here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, selected
Books can
poems in Spanish. Yeah, this one.
Oh, cool. And his books can be purchased from Broadstone Books and Lavender Ink. And again, those links are in the chats. So welcome, Indran Amirthanayagam.
Thank you so much, Susanna and Sandy, for this lovely invitation, and all of you for being here. I'm going to read from 10,000 Steps Against the Tyrant. If there's time, I'll add a poem from Blue Window, the 2 books that are in the chat. This book has come out thanks to Larry Moore and Broadstone this month, which marks the anniversary of the insurrection, also the anniversary of the inauguration of President Biden. And these poems were written in the campaign, during the campaign. Migrant Song. We need your poems now. We need to hear the songs of your migrant heart. We need to understand the meaning of your voyage throughout the planet, each trip unique, each trip the prodigal feast. Who are we? You, me, the neighbor, the friend up the road, up country, on the other side of the world. Who are we? Those who believe in the beautiful, foul, yet saving grace of the word. Who are we? We sing and boogie, move the word through its steps to the pulse in our bodies, to the last breath. We dance the song of Shiva, the song of Roland, the song of songs. We carry history on our backs, in our hearts. We are Tamils and Armenians, Jews and Palestinians. We are all people who have moved, who are moving now through these migrant states. We write poems for our tribes. making one tribe of every beating heart, sending blood through the veins of one earth. We are the first and the last, and we are singing, dancing, writing now. We are your friends, neighbors, unknown, the left out. Let us open our minds and hearts wide, admit all the migrant states to this feast. Let this feast become a poem, a pill that we can eat every day. Let us say hello, aloha, and leave this party and never say goodbye. Let us meet again as soon as the word flies, the heart opens, the bird sings in the morning, the world wakes up from this pandemic dream, alive and ready to move, to make, to fill, and to rename the void. The right path. Let us roll America. Let us not look back. Let us seize the fellow by the absent coattail. Let us reveal the traipsing emperor nude, and let us remember and defend the rights of our virus dead. But let us do so with respect, with love. Why? Because Jesus says so. Why? Because we are not jackals and hyenas. Why? Because we have to get back on the road to the promised land. Deep song anthem. We need the deep song. We're going far and long to Pennsylvania Avenue and beyond. Vote, donate. Be strong tonight, Kamala. You will make us proud on that debate stage. I know. And Joe is cooking just fine. And the people are gathering in the name of decent government and truth in speech and deed. We're going far and long. Now Texas is in play in a serious way. North Carolina and the Rust Belt are coming back to the fold. Michael Moore, I salute you. Congressman Lewis, in your name, and so many other brothers and sisters. Let us remember Jacob Blake in rehab. Keep him in prayers. Keep the families who have lost breadwinners, sons and daughters to the bullet, the plague. We will not forget you. Voting song. I'm going to take mother to the polling station. This may be her last chance to vote for the right path from the burning bush, sinking ship, roadkill, victims of the raging virus. I'm going to take mother to the polling station. And son, make sure you get that absentee ballot sent here while you visit. Every vote will count. And daughter, although you cannot vote, not this time, I want you to know that we have tried with all of our heart and mind to throw the bastards out. My love, I'm voting. I'm crying, yes, but not to worry. These are happy tears, tears of bliss. I did not think God would have time to look out for me. Thank you, angel who intervened. Thank you, kindness to strangers, what you taught me, Mom and Dad. Thank you, poets, I love you as I love myself. Thank you, diplomats. Thank you, Kamala and Joe. Thank you, friends of America, Asia, Arabia, Australia, Europe, India, the Pacific Isles. Thank you, all peoples, animals, birds, plants, seeds, works of art, music and dance not yet mentioned. Thank you, my love, voting. Pencil. There is a time to mourn and a time to review the cards and cast them again on the table, trusting God to guide your hand. To say this pencil you left with roses, chrysanthemums, lilies, in a riot of passionate flowers before the Supreme Court will be picked up by a girl after the period of mourning, not to be conserved in the Smithsonian's Museum of American History, but to write the story of a young lawyer come to Washington to interpret laws with grace, acuity, and impartiality to the best of her ability until such time as their articulation becomes almost unnecessary. So ingrained they would become in the social conscience of Americans walking then freely. Restoring the dream. We have soared west from east, rode to the plains, jumped back to support the rising tide, belly fire of disenfranchised in the south. This is a front coat, back coat, full coat press. We're not going to stop. Joe in Ohio, in Little Haiti, Miami, Kamala, everywhere, our hearts open to the historic child of the immigrant state flourishing. We are not going to stop, and here is the plan. First, secure 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Give it a deep clean, then do the same in state houses, we claim, to practice good governance again, to create jobs again, to assure health insurance and the chance to study for all of us. Black Lives Matter. Congressman Lewis did not live and die in vain. We are rolling, we are screaming, we are singing, we are cooing lullabies. We are not going to be silent. And with you, Kamala, with you, Joe, we want to save our American dream. Make it currency again for the world to trust, to exchange. We are going back to Paris to sign that accord, a first step towards saving the polar bear and all the other bears. And you heard it here, George McGovern, Walter Mondale, Michael Dukakis, Al Gore, John Kerry, and Hillary Clinton. We are walking with you to realize the dreams left pending. And Jimmy, Bill, Barack, thank you for getting the dream together, for giving us hope that we could go on. And now we're going on. We're going strong. Soul rising. I miss you something fierce. I have to tell my bones to stop shaking, to calm down, that there is something called work, poetry, cleaning the room, getting food together, attending to mother, reading fine print and polling, picking up the phone, cold calling a Texan in the name of participatory democracy, the nations and the earth's soul and the dream jostling about in the coffin, thinking the time is now to break down the wood, pierce the earth, slide out to walk abroad again through these United States. Address beyond Gettysburg. We're not going to stop. We have already started to walk, to run, our legs stretching, striding. The wind is behind us, blowing our hair and pushing us ahead. Every day, every hour, every minute fills us with enormous adrenaline, enormous hope. There are only so many insults the brain and heart can take before they begin to fight back. But with guidance from the village elder, to dilute the poison barb with herbs and prayers, to get the Russians on the back foot, to invite Chinese to return to business, to let ordinary Iranians drink coffee in peace. But I am not a mere internationalist. No, my friends, I'm running with Iowa farmers, former steel workers of Bethlehem, chicken pickers of Purdue plants in Tennessee. I'm not satisfied with the way things are in 50 states and all the dependencies. In Puerto Rico, I will not ignore people after they suffer hurricanes twice. In New Orleans and the Bayou, I'm not going to stop at building a levee. I will build parishes back with the faith that sustains me and them, that we will see a promised land, that we can arrive there together, one nation under God, and I've only just begun. Give me your stories from every community, every state house. We're going to talk among ourselves, one great family conversation around the fireplace, the TV, the radio, the computer, the phone. We're going to go back towards building that great society. Do you remember the dream deferred? Langston Hughes will be on my night table. Congressman Lewis will dance in my dreams as he did in Congress. Blue dog Democrats will have their say at the table, and we will listen to reasonable arguments from the other aisle. What is reasonable? That we spend the budget to get people back to work in good health and with hope, that we make peace with our friends again, and we trust but verify our enemies. Some editors think these poems are not poems, but political statements. I say to them, go fly a kite. We're going to Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going down to Pennsylvania Avenue to 1600 to be precise. We're getting on buses and trains. We're walking on Rock Creek Trail. We're taking Ubers and lifts to airports. We're wearing masks. We have washed our hands. We're going to take planes, all the planes, special charter flights on the way to Washington National, Washington Dulles, Baltimore International. We are starting now. Some of us will need time to secure our homes, to assure that a designated family member, a friend, a driver, a walker, a housekeeper will take care of the cat, the dog, the birds. We are going to Pennsylvania Avenue to 1600 to be exact. We've got our kids with us too. They are used to being out of school, and this is a lesson in life, in hope, in history, my friends. And some of us will take our pets as well, whatever we can manage. We're not making iron-fisted rules. We're not going to separate kids from their parents. We're not going to stop migrants from getting food and shelter. We're not going to allow our values to be written over anymore. Not anymore. We're going to Pennsylvania Avenue, to 1600 to be exact. We accept the invitation from Kamala and Joe, from neighbors and friends who tell me that it is we who will determine our destiny, we who will rescue our dream. So Kamala, Joe, we have your back, and we are in front of you as well and by your side. We are walking, getting into cars, trains, buses, planes. We're on our way, and we're not going to stop on November 3rd. No, sir. No, ma'am. On January 20th, we're going to fill every square inch of the mall, and we're not stopping even then. We're going to go back home renewed, energized, ready to bring the prodigal son, the prodigal daughter, the prodigal father, the prodigal mother back to work, to life, to the dream. Yes, we will. This book has these, there are two, the mother of all elections and the mother of all viruses, I guess. So there are poems from addressing both of these. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I'll finish with a few more. This one is called Georgia on My Mind Forever. Jimmy Carter is walking proud today in the fields of plains. Stacey Abrams is working the phones in Atlanta. Librarians in charge of all public and private book collections are dusting off studies that examine FDR's triumph in the state, Jimmy Carter's presidential victory, and Bill Clinton knew young Paul, how he squeezed by in 1992. Now in 2020, Joe Biden is bringing back the bacon and the greens and the dream, breaking down that bloody wall between red and blue, one country, one dream. Georgia, you are making us feel a shiver in our spine, a song bursting forth from our lungs. Ray Charles in the state capitol in 1979 at the piano, an old song for the New South, Georgia on my mind. I'm waiting for the blowback about this optimistic poems 1 year after, but I guess I have the advantage of a one-way conversation reading. No, but I mean, we have, let me finish with, from this book with a couple of poems from the section to do with the pandemic. Late Night Olive Oil. I will dedicate this poem to Larry Moore, who edited this book with me at Broadstone. Late Night Olive Oil. Let us put the letters and fears and boiling emotions on the page. Mommy, why did you go to the kitchen stealthily without a word to your sleeping son, without your walker, to find the large bottle of olive oil, to pour it on the table and floor, to fill a small vessel which you meant to carry back to your room, as if nobody would notice until you called my name, because you could not negotiate the rest of the way from dining table to bedroom, vessel in hand, without cane or walker. I write to atone for my flailing words, saying never, never, never again. The kitchen is prohibited. Your mania for oil in the hair is prohibited. The stealthy, mischievous, childish, truant foray into the darkness with a torch in hand, which you forgot on the countertop, all of this is prohibited. Your losing memory and control are prohibited. These words are prohibited. Decline and death are prohibited. Torch. The flame may seem fragile, small, almost nothing at all. But as you carry it from room to room in the dark, the bobbing, flickering wick lights up mind and hope. The bobbing, flickering wick lights up mind and heart and gives hope. And the sun is waiting around the corner of morning to come on stage. to rise. I would like to read one poem from the other book, Blue Window. I'm going to create a little bit of a scandal. I have about 40 or 50 books piled up on my right here.
I think we do have time for about one more poem.
Okay, and luckily none of them fell. So I'll just read one poem from Blue Window, which was beautifully translated from the Spanish by Jennifer Rathburn. And I'll read it's a short poem, so I'll read the Spanish and then the English. Viaje. Estamos de viaje, cada uno por su cuenta, tú hacia la montaña, yo al mar, tú con nuevos amigos y con tiempo para reflexionar, yo a ver a mi hija, el fruto del pasado, y a unos amigos todavía en este lado del mar. No sé qué provecho sacar del contraste, montaña, mar, amigos nuevos, una hija alta y bella, casi una adolescente a punto de despegar. ¿A dónde? A una nueva ciudad, al futuro que le espera otra vez en el Padre. A mí no me gusta lo impermanente y darme cuenta del límite de la costa. ¿Qué opciones me quedan? No regresar, no dar algún consejo a este ser vivo al que ayudé a caminar, guardar el silencio cuando cada memoria quiere hablar. Trip. We're on a trip, each one of us on our own. You towards the mountain, I to the sea. You with new friends and time to reflect. I to see my daughter, fruit of the past, and a few friends still on this side of the sea. I don't know how to take advantage of the contrast, mountain, sea, new friends, a tall and beautiful daughter, almost an adolescent, ready to take off. Where to? A new city, to a future that awaits her again without her father. I don't like the impermanent and realize the limit of the coast. What options are left for me? Not return, not give some advice to this living being whom I helped teach to walk, keep silent when every memory wants to talk. Thank you very much. Much love.
Thank you very much, Indran. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So Peter has been working behind the scenes and his computer is not cooperating. So I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to reschedule Peter for another time. But thank you so much, Dick and Indran. And at this point, if anyone wants to unmute themselves or put anything in the chat, you're welcome to. And actually, I might start. Indran, you're quite the polyglot. Can you tell me how many? I saw that you've written in Portuguese and Spanish, French, Haitian Creole. How many languages do you speak?
But those languages and,
Those languages?
and English, yeah.
Okay.
The funny thing about me is
But that's
I forgot
still
to
impressive.
speak, but I forgot Tamil, which was my native language. Along
I was
with
going to ask
so,
about that too.
yeah.
Do you ever write in Tamil?
No, I've lost it completely. I mean, I spoke it as a child, but I have some words, but it's blocked somehow. I think it was part of my migration from the island was blocking the language, that language somehow. Though it comes in to my poetry in terms of the themes of so many books and so many poems, especially the Uncivil War, the first book, The Elephants of Reckoning, asking the question, why did you leave? Those elephants who live so. And now we read about stories of elephants dying from eating in garbage fills where they're eating plastic. And so, this is the island that was a paradise, where we're seeing these travesties now. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you. I guess we have some time to questions or comments.
For Indran or Dick? It's a quiet audience tonight.
Indran, we've astonished them. They're speechless.
Attonito. No, I mean, we're so unused to having Q&A in these
Yeah.
readings, it's just, it's part of so we have to relearn how to ask questions of willing poets with 100,000 answers. No,
I'll say something. It's not really a question. I just was amazed listening to Dick, to your poems about music, and it seems like a very difficult thing to do, but you really made us hear the music you were writing about. It was really
Oh, that's
wonderful.
great. Thanks, Joan. I like that.
Good. You got it.
Yes, I felt that way too, and I love that second poem about you being the child and being the adult in the house, and that was so layered and beautiful, and really enjoyed all of them. But so much rhythm in your work, so much music in your work, and Indran, yeah, just this whole explosion of faith and belief and celebration of democracy. It's wonderful. It's refreshing and it's good, and it's brave because you're gonna, yeah. So good job, and your mother too, of your mother, in her situation with you. It's very touching. Thank you.
No, I'm going to go ahead. Just wanted to let everyone know I'm going to stop the recording for now, so to save on the gigs, and in case anyone wants to speak without being recorded. But you can continue talking.